Hi there, welcome. My name is Eric Gallagher here with IC of Movement. And today I want to share with you four ways that we can form people in our parish, people that we are leading, people in our families, through the way that we lead, through the methods that we use, that foster a culture of receptivity. Again, I want to start by pointing out the purpose, the reason you would want to even begin to focus on this isn't this the definition of discipleship, right? For us to become aware of what the rabbi is doing, what the master is doing, to be able to listen and to understand the invitations and the way he's calling us to live and act and work, and then to be able to respond appropriately, right? That is the Christian life that we're trying to not only live, but within this IC of movement, we're trying to promote and encourage and invite others into as well, to be incredibly receptive to the ways that God is working. So I'm someone who typically, I've been involved in ministry for 20 plus years, and I'm someone who will often walk away from an event and an opportunity, and I'll be excited because it was done well, but I'll often question the impact that the event itself had on people. Right? I always want it to be more. And as I got involved in ministry, I started to realize that the things that I did were not nearly as effective as modeling and living the way that I was living. Right? And isn't this true in the lives of the saints? Right? We could look at many of the great saints and see that many of them did good things, but that's not the thing that we admire and that we aspire to do and to live like. We aspire to live and do things like they did it in our own way that God has called us to do it. There's a way that you can do this and lead in this that helps others by simply modeling in the way that we lead. And so while this is specific, perhaps to like priests or parish leaders or lay apostolate leaders, this is true also if you're a small group leader or a catechist or someone in a parish or even within your own family. I think these are true. These are four things that I have found to be incredibly effective and important when leading in order to foster a culture of receptivity in those that are walking with us on this journey. So the first point that I have is to make sure that you are leaving space to discern, to regroup, to rediscern, to relook at things, right? So I'm an example of this is I'm a huge fan of offering programs in parishes that are temporary. Right, let's do this for 6 weeks or 4 weeks or 8 weeks, or let's do it semester by semester. Many of our programs in our parishes, though, are programs that run all throughout the year or all throughout the school year, and then they're just kind of put on this repeat cycle. When we begin to foster a culture where we are doing something, we're being grateful for it when it's done, we're resting in it, we are reconsidering and regrouping and trying to rethink what does it look like next, it gives us that opportunity to continually respond and to grow and to adapt and evolve the things. If we actually lived in this way, we would never kind of look up and say like, wow, we've been doing the same thing for the last 20 years, right? And we wouldn't go through these kind of gross phases in the church that we face of like, yeah, it's maybe time for something new. If we're to live a culture of receptivity and a culture of discipleship, things should always have a newness to them in the way that we're living them out. So the first thing is to leave space within your life, within the life of the parish, within the life of your ministry. Take breaks, pray, discern, retreat, regroup, and to come back enlivened several times throughout the year, if possible. The second thing is we need to be people in the church that ask more questions and give less answers. Right? And when we ask the questions, can we ask questions in a way that form people? I've been in a lot of parish meetings where I was actually just recently in a parish meeting where they're looking at the life of the parish and they're wanting to vision things. And there's probably about 80 people at this parish meeting. And they just threw out these words like, how can we enhance the worship in our parish? And on one end of the spectrum, you have people who have no idea what they mean by worship. What are we talking about? And then we have people in the room who are experts in the church and professionals in the church, and they're trying to like figure out what component of worship we're talking about. But it would have been a really beautiful time for the parish to kind of say, here's the vision for worship of the pastor and perhaps of the diocese. And here's a little bit about what it means to worship. How do you see that affecting in your own life? And you can see people begin to like resonate and have this echoing in their hearts of like, yes, I want that. I want that. I want that. Here's the desires that are coming forth from me as I have received this formative knowledge, inspirations, whatever you might call it. And I've actually done this in the past with one of my children recently. They were trying to figure out, they had two different commitments that they had to think about and question. And rather than kind of telling them which one I thought was best, I asked a lot of questions. And it was allowed them to respond and to think and to grow in their own ability to discern. And so to ask more questions and give less answers. The third point I would say is we must be a people who are more responsive than proactive, right? Again, we can get so busy with the things that we do and we want to do more and more things. And there's so many needs out there. And we just get so scattered, I think, in the parish. But when we are giving that space, when we're listening closely and we are responding to the things that are happening in front of us, and we've given ourselves the margin and the space to respond and are willing to give up and be detached from many of the other things in order that we might respond, right? We begin to live our life in a way that is responsive to the workings of the Holy Spirit in our life, more and more and more. Not only that, but the questions and the modeling of getting to know individuals and groups within the parishes and being able to respond respectfully teaches and forms them that this is how we live life in the church. We listen. We pay close attention to what is stirring up in us. We listen to the voice of God and we respond with our entire lives. But this requires us having the capacity, the courage to take interest in the heart of the individuals. And that's a sacrifice that a lot of people are unwilling to make. The last point that I have, never do anything for everyone. Right? We want to satisfy this itch in us that, well, we're doing lots of stuff for the people in the parish or the people around us. Anyone can come to these things. Right? But the case from a parish formation standpoint is that nothing was really for everyone. People have to choose or not choose to be a part of things. And when we're doing something, even let's look at a parish breakfast or donuts or coffee. Well, anyone, it's for everyone. We're offering this for everyone. Well, or you're offering it to the people who want to be there, who have a desire to be there and are capable, their time-wise are there, who are members of the parish, registered members of the parish. There's a lot of people who are not there. Right? Who isn't coming to these things? And how can we capitalize on the people who are there and are going to be there? And how can we live with a heart that aches and desires for the rest of the people? And how can we be open to getting other people to be involved in other ways? Right. But so many times I hear parishes wanting to start this new program or this new initiative, or they're excited about this new thing. And they're like, we have this thing we're going to offer and it's for anyone and everyone. And it's going to be offered on Thursday nights and Friday mornings. So we're offering it 2 times. And so everyone should be able to come. But still, there are people who, even alone by those 2 times, won't be able to be there. Right? So it's not for everyone. But if we live responsibly and responsive to the needs of the people, and we think smaller, especially, we will be able to respond appropriately to the needs of the people and the people around us. And I'm very, very confident that if we listen carefully, we take things slow, God is going to show us and plant seeds around our lives and in our hearts of a thing that he's stirring up in the hearts of a group of people. And he's going to give us everything we need to be able to satisfy the things that those people are looking for. But this takes courage. It takes patience. It takes humility. In fact, all of these things that I'm proposing require a disposition of wonder and a little bit of humility, knowing that God is the one in control and that God is the one who needs to guide these things, that we don't have what it takes to satisfy the needs of the people around us, even those in our own families and our own parishes. This will not only help us in growing in our own awareness of the work that God is doing in around us, and when we follow, we become deeper, more faithful disciples of Jesus Christ. But this begins to model and live out the call of discipleship that God has called us into and becomes a witness to others. And all of that being said, it doesn't matter what the stuff is that we're doing, right? This is just the work that we get to do. But the real life, the real call that we find in ICF movement and the call to holiness is when we begin to live in this way. Open, ready, eager, excited, aware that God is doing incredible things in and around us. And we're excited and ready, capable of responding to Him.